Hi, insiders. What is up? Happy Tuesday. Cheers to the final month of 2025. How did we get here? I really don't know. I was just telling someone this. I feel like 2025 has been the slowest yet fastest year, at least of my life, but very excited to be back live streaming with our insiders community on this fine Tuesday morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are around the globe. This one has been a topic I've been waiting for since we knew we were going to bring in a whole live stream series to life in Q4. This was the one that I was like, ooh, I cannot wait to talk all about what our team believes are some of the biggest shifts, trends, predictions, as we enter 2026. So, if you are joining us live, welcome, welcome. We are live streaming today on YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So, gotta say hi to our insiders community, wherever you are tuning in from today. Before I get into my little introductions, just some housekeeping. If you are on Instagram, hi, hi, hi. Be sure to use the comment section on Instagram specifically, not the Q&A box, if it appears, as I will be unable to see those on Instagram. So, questions, comments, feedback, use the comments on Instagram. For YouTube, LinkedIn, you're in luck. Add those to the comment section. We can actually pull in those comments onto the screen, give you a little shout out. Part of the things that I love to do is to make these live streams as interactive as possible. So if you're tuning in, drop a comment, a thought, feedback, questions. We'll always answer questions throughout and then also reserve some time at the end. But yeah, I think just a little bit about me. I gotta just do the introductions. We have so many new beautiful souls that are tuning in, tapping in, finding out about all the magic brewing on the Unearthly Studios side. But my name is Jazz Jackson. I'm the founder, CEO of Unearthly Studios. We're a creative agency, talent management company on a mission to empower artists, creatives, and visionary brands to achieve their full potential. So we specialize in all things organic social, brand and creative strategy, experiential events, visual production that we're moving into beta as we enter the top of 2026, along with some other a la carte offerings really tailored for artists, creators, visionaries, and teams in mind, including things like email, SMS marketing, paid ads campaigns, consultations, and more. So if you're ever interested in learning a little bit more about the agency, the work that we do, you can find us on the web at any time. Just dropping them right there so y'all can see. Find us on the web, check us out, learn more about what we do. And yeah, on that note, I'm so excited to get into the what I call the meat and potatoes of today's conversation. If you're new here, I am known to yap, so I'm going to hold myself to it to keep this within an hour. But spend some time over the last few weeks. And honestly, we've been taking notes all year about what we would consider first a trend, right? A trend has a shorter shelf life. And then if we see something that might be a trend that is really taking off, gaining momentum, that is what we would call, okay, this is probably a marketing shift here. Let's pay attention to it. Let's keep our eyes out, hear what the people are saying, XYZ. So today we compiled maybe 6 or 7 of what we feel are probably going to be some of the biggest shifts, trends, predictions in 2026. I feel like a few of these definitely alluded to throughout this quarter during our live stream series. Community first, the great unplug, deplug in, moving back to AKA analog, and so many other shifts, experiential events, and more. So, very excited to get started. This has been one, as I said, I've been excited to yap about, but we had to save it. We had to save this one for the final one. But before we start talking about 2026, Just wanted to first celebrate how one we got here. This is our final live stream of 2025. And 2025 has been a whirlwind in itself on social. Something that I said before, I'll repeat again, is that social is always evolving. It has never stopped evolving. In the 13 or so years I have spent within the marketing industries, from organic social, brand marketing, sales marketing, event marketing, I have probably touched all forms of it at this point in time, is that it never has stopped evolving. And the marketers who win, the teams who win, the artists, the creators, the visionaries that will win in 2026 and beyond, I truly believe are the ones that are adaptable, the ones that can pivot, the ones who are always ready to continue to learn. Because being someone that's all in, I mean, all in on social marketing, what you were trying to do even a couple years ago is not necessarily what's working on social or what might be the best for your creative strategy and the evolution of that at this time. So I'm a true enthusiast of the space. I love social, y'all. Could talk about it for hours and do. And honestly, today's mission, most importantly, is to equip our insiders community, all of y'all, with the insights, the knowledge, the gems, and the wisdom that you need to win sustainable success. Okay, as I say, um, only winners over here. And hoping that these insights will give you more clarity, some things to think about, potentially some things that you, your team, your company can test. And this isn't about trend chasing. This is really about strategic positioning and enabling y'all to, like I said, win. So, the first thing that I really wanted to get into today is the 2025 landscape, what changed and what has shifted. So, we're talking about the biggest shifts in 2025 marketing. I'm going to break it down into what worked, what died, and what our team has learned, tested, implemented, and things that we're thinking about as we continue to win, guide our clients, our artists, develop our own team and strategists behind the scenes. We've taken some notes. So, some of the things that I feel and I think have been some of the biggest shifts in 2025 marketing, I have talked about these over the last couple of months. What has worked? One, authenticity over polished content. So we're talking about the raw, the real, the relatable, creative content that you post. Not saying that high production value creative doesn't have a space, it does. But it's really truly about diversifying the creative mix and the types of posts and assets that you share. One of the things we talk to about clients a lot is that we do not want creating the production of it to be the barrier. So if it's like, oh, well, I only post high production quality content, I don't, or maybe, hey, I don't have the funds to hire and outsource a videographer, photographer every single time, so I just haven't been posting. This is kind of what I'm talking about. There's a space and a place, right, for that high production level creative. If you're an artist who's ready to maybe invest a bit of a budget into producing higher budget visualizers for your next project, or maybe there's a song that's taken off and you want to go all in on really stretching that storytelling muscle and put some budget behind a official music video. Maybe you haven't done that yet. For a brand, this could look like a larger brand shoot production for your merchandise, your products. But what we're seeing truly win in 2025, and we're going to talk about AI and authenticity a little bit later, is that that authenticity piece truly does matter in this. That can be, like I always say, use the resources that you got, use the tools that are at your disposal. iPhones, people are going back to camcorders, film cameras. Use what you have. And sometimes and oftentimes you see the piece of creative that you spent the least amount of time on is the one that takes off. The piece of content that you weren't overthinking, or that, what, I'm just going to set up my phone, this, that, edit real quickly, and just post it. I think that authenticity piece truly matters, and it is the thing, is the superpower, it is the cheat code. No one can replicate your essence. But it is so easy on social media, right? Trends. Ooh, this is working for someone else, to copy what's working for them. But that might not be authentic to you. So authenticity, that raw, real, relatable creative is definitely winning in 2025. Something we talked about in an entire masterclass is micro communities, community building over mass audiences. As a strategist, building campaigns, brand and creative strategy for a number of years, something that I know to be true is if you're trying to reach everyone, you're reaching no one. It is never about reaching everybody. It is always about reaching the right people, the right somebodies, the right communities, the right groups. We are seeing this shift move from everyone to the right ones. It's also too, when I talked about in our community building masterclass. So if you missed that one, go back on our YouTube channel later today, winter break, when you're, unwinding, is the platforms are also shifting to being more community first. And our last masterclass that we got to connect with was all about platform strategy. And I broke down the ways that these platforms, like the big 6 or 7, are updating and adapting and really changing the tools at our disposal, to where you're even seeing the onus being placed on community spaces, DMs, like IG stories, TikTok stories. YouTube has communities, hype. The community first shift is here. You're also seeing the rise of community first platforms, from direct to consumer platforms like Bandcamp, even.biz, if you're more music adjacent, to Discord, Patreon, Substack, as we're moving into closed spaces, paid spaces. And there's many more platforms. But we're definitely seeing that shift in what, as we enter 2026, is the focus on micro communities over appealing to mass audiences. The third thing is really being strategic with your platform focus, instead of just being focused on trying to be everywhere all at once. Have a full masterclass about how to potentially choose what platforms you should be on based on where your audience already is, where they currently exist, etc. But we definitely are seeing the focus be on, I'm trying to be in a few places and go from good to great and hone in there, versus spreading yourself thin. And I love to speak on this because I am a true proponent of, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but you do have to be strategic about the platforms that you choose to utilize beyond. And they need to fit into your business goals, overarching, right? So I gave a gem in that masterclass all around platform strategy of choosing, for example, 2 to 3 platforms. Have one long form platform that could be your website that has your blog and you're updating that consistently. That could be YouTube, where you're amplifying long form video content, a newsletter, building your email list. Those are long form. And your short form channel might be a TikTok, Instagram, or maybe you're all in on like YouTube Shorts. So it is about being strategic, thinking about the platforms that you are great at, the types of creative that you are creating. If you're not more visual and you're more of a writer, I would recommend like, hey, look into email plus threads if writing is your strong suit. For an artist, a visual creator, the TikToks, the Instagram, those visual focused platforms are going to be a safe bet. Pinterest, for example. And the last thing that honestly we wanted to put on the list of things that worked in 2025, and I could spend an hour talking about this and have, is direct audience relationships. So this is the email, the SMS marketing, the own channels, your website, all things that should be common knowledge, but I feel especially from working with dozens of creators and artists, from being a strategist who's always auditing outside looking in on where are the highest missed opportunities across the board, I'm going to say it's this one. It is such a, like, what is the even word I want to say? It is just, you're doing yourself a disservice by not putting a focus on your own channels, direct to consumer, direct to fan. All those words are interchangeable. If that has not been a focus for you, of like, oh, I'll start my email list later, or oh, I haven't been collecting contact information at my shows or events, I'll start later. I would start now. I would start now. Moving on to some things that died in 2025, RIP, is the hustle culture content. So the rise and grind fatigue. I feel like we are seeing a big shift, and we have a prediction about this. But the short form creative evolution, we are no longer in the height of the 2019, 2020 short form just era where TikTok came into the spotlight and we had reels and then shorts. The fatigue of short form, not saying it doesn't play an active part within your content ecosystem, because it does. But one of our predictions in 2026 and something we have seen on 2025 is the shift back to long form creative. The podcast, the long form YouTube videos, newsletters, all things we'll talk about soon, but we're seeing this, and this also has a lot to do with it. Also, in terms of like that hustle kind of rise and grind culture, we are seeing the shift from creators, brands focusing on the quality over the quantity. So that just goes along with it in terms of less is oftentimes more, but being very intentional and strategic in what you share. The second thing is vanity metrics obsession. And I have talked about this so much, the vanity metrics. And that is a term that us music marketers use. Those are things like likes, followers. The whole follower era is kind of gone. Is it your following count a social, like a signal? Yes, it's a signal, but because it is so easy to fake followers, buy followers, like I said, a follower is not a fan. It is kind of like such a low level of engagement. Like it's so easy to follow someone. It doesn't mean that they see your content. It doesn't mean that they're engaged with you. It doesn't mean that they care about it. It doesn't mean that they're like converting, purchasing anything from you. It's a follow. So we're seeing a shift away from these vanity metrics. And like I've been, as a strategist, I've been talking about this for years. None of it's new to me, but is focusing on what I call, and work with our clients, we focus on action metrics. So we are looking for things that make someone take an action. Are they leaving an engaging, thoughtful comment? I'm not talking about just dropping a fire or a little heart emoji. That's spam. I'm talking about, are they really engaging with you? Are they sending you a DM? If you post to your story, are they replying to the story? We got comments on IG stories now, at least, right? They can respond back. Are you getting engagement that way? Saves, are they saving your content? Shares, we got reposts now on Instagram. Those are all action metrics that are a signal. It's all data, but it is going to give you more clarity on what's working, what's resonating with your audience, and probably will give you that data of like, okay, let's lean more into this, whether it's a format or maybe it's a series that you started. The most important thing is that likes do not equal revenue. Followers do not equal revenue. There have been so many crash, I won't call them crash outs, right? Where they're like, I got 100,000 followers and I still can't pay my bills, or, I can't sell, a 200 cap room in my city, but I got all this social media success. Those are vanity metrics. It is not a signal of the customers you truly have, the most engaged supporters, the fans, those that are spending their hard-earned dollars on you. So, as I said, on our side, when we work with our clients, we move them away from, and it takes time, right? Likes, followers, we don't care about it. It's a signal. As these platforms are also shifting, IG is no longer prioritizing likes, it's views. So it's all shifts and changes, many things that we talked about over the last couple months. Another thing that's just not working in 2025 is generic influencer partnerships. And I have spent years in the influencer marketing space specifically, building out dynamic campaigns with some of the biggest brands in the world, small businesses, kind of businesses of all sizes, and helping them build, nurture, develop their influencer partnerships and programs. Brands are becoming even more picky with their dollars as we enter 2026. Their focus truly is not on these one-off partnerships, trying to just work with everybody. That brands too are being more particular and intentional with where those dollars are going. They would focus on those long-term partnerships with creators, artists. We got artists in our community, creators, videographers, DJs, some of our clients, other brands. If you are hoping to ever secure a brand deal, a partnership opportunity, I'm talking to you. You have to be so intentional with the brand that you're building, ensuring that one, you're in alignment with the brands you're reaching out to, both in terms of what you share, but also your audience, the alignment with the demographics and the psychographics. It goes deep for brands, and they really are focusing on developing relationships with creators over a longer span of time. I know, being a talent manager and someone that was working on building campaigns, we were locking in creators in for 3 months, 6 months, and year-long partnerships. And this was years ago. And the shift has continued to go that way, where they would much rather use the creators that they've built those relationships with, the affinities there for, to not just do a traditional year-long partnership with X number of posts, but I'm talking they are building entire experiences around their creator talent. The last thing that's not working is the one size fits all marketing playbooks. And I preach about this all the time. There has never been a strategy that I have given to somebody twice. It has never looked the same. It has always been tailored, personalized, and strategic for where that artist is, where that creator is, or where that brand is, because they're all different. So, those are just some things that just aren't working in 2025 anymore. But here's some things that our team has learned, especially over the past year, working with different clients, different types of projects, campaigns, rollouts, and just being all in on the space of what's shifting, what's changing, what's coming. Oh, we talk about algorithms all of the time. I probably see a conversation about algorithms every single day at this point, but being dependent on the algorithm as we enter 2026 is just a no-go, a no-go. You cannot rely on the algorithm for you to reach your people, your audience, your supporters. I feel like on average at this point in time, what probably 3 to 5% of your organic following is going to see whatever you post at any given time. It used to be closer to like 10%, but it has definitely changed. If that is the case, if you know that every single time that you post, maybe 5% of your audience is seeing it, why would you go just all in on social? Not saying don't use social. It is a tool, it is a resource, it works. But being dependent on an algorithm is not what we're doing in 2026. So we talked about own channels, direct to fan, direct to your customers, D2C for this reason. The second thing that we learned is community loyalty over viral moments. Now, we talked about community building all in a full masterclass and community, community, community. It's not just a buzzword. You're going nowhere pretty fast without your community. But community loyalty over viral moments. I say going viral, and I think so much of the mindset around this has shifted. But there was a time where so many people were focused on just going viral, going viral. I mean, marketing agencies were saying that they're viral marketing agency, viral marketing strategist. You're not really seeing those titles around anymore because the shift from virality to, as I said, going from everyone to your someone's, finding your people is here, which is why the focus has been for us, but as we're going to see in 2026 and beyond, is continue to focus on niche spaces, communities, for artists, really nurturing those connections with your super fans, etc. Third is quality engagement is going to be quantity every time. I talked about this a little bit where there was this onus of just flooding the timeline, multiple posts per day, XYZ. Now you're really seeing where brands, creators, they are really focused on the quality over the quantity of the content that they're sharing. Now, there are still creators where what works for them might be 3 posts a day. For someone else, it might be 3 high quality posts a week. The strategy is going to look different for everyone. What works for you, the type of creative that you produce, editing, it all makes a difference for this. But I have seen, and I always focus on as a strategist, on the quality over the quantity of posts. Because when we're working with artists, when we're working with clients and teams, our goal is to foster transformation, most importantly, but sustainable success. If you can't sustainably post 3 times a week for months on end, that is not a strategy that I would recommend. If we know, like, hey, you can post 3 high quality pieces of creative a week and do that sustainably and consistently, that would much rather be the strategy that we bet on and the one that we want to implement and put into place. So, those are just a few things of what worked, what died in 2025, what we learned. The last one is the creator economy has matured, right? I mean, when I was an influencer almost a decade ago, before it was an industry, I mean, when we had the like brands just like, what's an influencer? It is not the same space it was 7, 8 years ago. Brands have matured, creators have matured, the economy has matured. As I said, like brands are getting more intentional with where their marketing dollars are going, including seeing big shifts from moving from influencer and putting their dollars into experiential events, niche communities, things that we've talked about and we'll talk about a little bit more. But that is just some of the biggest shifts in 2025, just setting the stage with the 2025 landscape and what changed. In the second part of this, I really wanted to talk about the Deplug movement, and I have been seeing it. We're seeing this shifts across the board from digital to physical. So we're gonna spend a few moments here, a few minutes here, being a talent manager, A&R, all in on the music biz side of things. We have seen the shifts from streaming back to physical media, the vinyl resurgence, CDs, um, merchandise in all forms outside of just like, oh, this artist has a t-shirt and a hat, to really fucking unique, I call unique LTO, like limited edition merch. Artists have put out things like rugs, games, puzzles. I've seen incense, candle collections based on one, who they are at their core, what they know that their audiences will connect with, resonate, the world that they're building, etc. But we're seeing this across the board from digital to physical. I've been calling it the deplug, unplug. Others are calling it the return to analog, as audiences, the screen fatigue is real, and the craving for connection, conversation, and community, the three C's, which is what we build all of our experiential event strategies around, those points. But it's for these reasons. People are truly craving offline connection. As I said, screen fatigue is real. Audiences are wanting to reclaim time, attention, and their presence. I think we're also in this age where the loneliness epidemic of we're so connected, but at the same time we're also the most disconnected that we've been from others post COVID, where we're all online and on our phones and Zoom chats. The people want to be outside. The people want to be outside. And it's about intentional disconnection, which is why, and we also got a full masterclass on experiential events up on YouTube, because I've been spitting gems, y'all. Hours of gems of what's coming to get y'all ready. Experiential events are back, but they are definitely different. We are seeing more intimate gatherings over these large, big music festivals, the resurgence of, and not that everything has gone away, but I feel like we're seeing the book clubs, the run clubs. I mean, there's probably a club for the dinner clubs and the supper experiences that we're seeing starting to pop up more and more. I know for me, being a concert goer, I am loving the artists that are curating, like I said, these more immersive, intimate experiences for their fans outside of just these larger shows and venues and tours, which I feel like is phenomenal. And more artists, I'm just talking to y'all, y'all should be doing it. Something that I know we're excited to do more of, and we've helped some clients bring to life already on the agency side, are pop-ups, listening parties, creative workshops, album releases, and we got some things coming. So stay tuned for 2026. But for artists, this could be like secret shows. Okay, we need some more secret shows. I'll be giving y'all gems. Please, someone take these ideas and come back 2026 and say, Jazz, I saw this web masterclass you did, and I used this idea. I would love to see it. Secret shows, fan experiences, collaborative creative sessions. Um, so many great examples that I could share, but I'm trying to keep this one super high level today. And also, too, if you got questions, comments, feedback, any insights you want to add to this, drop them in the comments on the platform you're viewing some, and we'll definitely make sure that we answer them live. For brands, this could look like IRL activations that feel truly authentic and not just transactional. Oftentimes with experiential events, sometimes they're curated. I want to say more than sometimes. Oftentimes they're curated with the influencers in mind that are going to be in the room, which is fine and dandy. But I also feel like there's more of a step that so many brands can take to elevate, where they, one, can include their customers in these events, campaigns, and activations, And also too, ensuring that like your event's not just 10,000 photo ops, and that there might be a deeper story, a deeper moment outside of just that event. For creatives, this could look like having hosting your own workshop, portfolio reviews, different networking experiences. These are all types of experiential events that I know I personally have seen across my timeline this year. But as I said, experiential events are back, but different. Part of this whole, what we're calling the Deplug movement, going from digital back to physical. And I have been like keeping an eye on these for probably the last like year and a half, especially post COVID, is the return of interest clubs in third spaces. I truly believe we just need more of them across the board. But this is the hobbies, the collectives, the in person creative communities. There are some that I'm part of myself. There's other communities that I cannot wait to be part of in the future, and communities that are all around my own interests and passions. So we mentioned run clubs. There's wellness clubs, different sport clubs, book clubs. We're seeing across the board. I've seen swap clubs for like those people that like to thrift, clubs for people that love puzzles and they come together and work on puzzles together. Like there's something for everyone. And I think that's the cool part of this. We're also seeing third spaces being transformed as gathering spots. So I know intersecting music and culture has been big for this. Bookstores, coffee shops, art galleries, creative studios being transformed into gathering spots for interest clubs and creatives. And I think what's going to be so big in 2026 is how brands and artists can sponsor and also create their own third spaces. Starting to see it. I'm starting to see it, but definitely interested to see how this will continue to evolve over time. Um, One of the creators I've been paying attention to who is just doing this pretty well, um, his name is Riven, and he has created like his own room experience where he has artists perform. It's kind of just a whole immersive experience where he gets creatives, artists, producers together. They get a chance to perform during the room set that they're in, and it's a great way to foster, like I said, those three C's: collaboration, conversation, and community. And thinking about this strategically before I move on to community first engagement is you have to think about how your digital presence translates offline. I as I'm thinking as a strategist, I know world building has been this buzzword I've seen go around all year. I see everything that you're building across your brand as an ecosystem. So, I think everything needs to be cohesive, collaborative. Like it needs to all come full circle. It's an ecosystem that you're building. What they experience and see on your website should translate across your social, your messaging. Those same values, messaging pillars should translate into your offline experiences, and it should all connect. So it really is thinking about how your digital presence drives that offline engagement, right? Also too, documenting the experiences for different for content. So don't just live behind the phone, but documenting these experiences, because the great thing about all of these events is that there is a much longer shelf life on the creative, the stories that you can tell, the moments, the conversations, the the connections that matter that you can then amplify. So I always like talk to our artists and clients when they are having events to making sure event coverage, a videographer, photographer is in the budget as a non-negotiable, because capturing that creative is so crucial. It is so fucking crucial. If you are throwing an event and you are not capturing and documenting the moment, you are missing out on so much liquid marketing gold. I'm just saying. And the last one I would think is using events as a way to surprise and delight, show some extra love to your your online community members. Get them outside. Maybe there's, if they buy a ticket to this event, there's an exclusive merch item that they get that's only there. Just as an example, other events you've seen things like gift bags or giveaways or freebies for the first X members who are in the door. Those are just some things that you can do to really create immersive experiential experiences. And I think the cool thing about this is that every artist, every creator, every brand is different. So there are no limits to how creative, scrappy, intentional you can get. But I feel like, and go back to our masterclass on experiential events, before you can do any of this, you have to have damn sure clarity of who your audience truly is on every level. So that's just all around the deplug movement, the shift from digital to physical. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is community first engagement. So this is what I'm calling the new currency, but honestly, community has always been the currency. Community has been king, queen, the ruler of them all, even if maybe we don't realize it. At the end of the day, artists, you are nothing without the fans and supporters who champion you, listen to your music, support you, your shows, your merch, your ticket sales. Creators, you are nothing without the audiences that follow you, interact with your content, engage with you. They're the reason you're getting all these brand deals, opportunities, awards, brands. You are nothing without your customers. Okay, at the end of the day, the ones that return, your fiercest brand advocates. Community has always been everything. But I feel like, especially with this deplug movement, the screen fatigue, the rise of these micro communities, both online and in real life, community first is the currency that is going to rule them all. And when I think about this, I think from followers to family. It's the same way that I say, hey, followers aren't fans. It is a journey to take someone from being a follower all the way down what we call the fan journey, customer journey, the marketing funnel. I'm using all these interchangeable words. It's a journey. It's a process. It takes time. It requires intention and consistency and care, right? Um, but community is everything. And the reason why I truly believe why community is going to continue to win in an even bigger way in 2026 is for these things. So when we're thinking about algorithms, we talked about algorithms a lot. I feel like I'm always talking about an algorithm, fighting against a quote unquote algorithm. Is why I go all in on community. I am yapping, I'm in the DMs, I am in like the stories, I talk to people, I send voice notes for this reason. One, we're seeing how these platforms have shifted from um, the vanity metrics to focusing on community first. On Instagram, the biggest shift that I have noticed on Instagram is something that they have never changed on the platform, which is where the damn buttons are on the app. I don't know if you've updated it, if you got the updated app. If you go to the Instagram app, the button in the middle, it's not the post, it's not the feed, it is the DMs. IG, Instagram, they have specifically said their focus is on direct messaging, Instagram stories, broadcast channels. These are all community first features within the Instagram platform. Because of this, this is not saying that posting and amplifying reels does not matter. it is about where are these social platforms prioritizing their time. It's community. YouTube. They introduced their own communities feature on YouTube a few months ago. There's hype points where your audience can actually give you points on your videos and it goes hype up like a leader scoreboard and then that video is amplified on YouTube. So it is rewarding engaged communities. The community features on YouTube. It is so your supporters can have a space where they can not just leave a comment, but they can engage, talk to each other. It is a fan first kind of section on the platform. TikTok just released bulletin boards. Similarly, it's a broadcast channel style feature on TikTok. As you can see, these platforms kind of mirror each other over time, but the shift to community first on social platforms is huge. The platforms are prioritizing that genuine interaction, those smaller circles. People truly do want to belong, not just consume. So, we talked about the screen fatigue, the short form content, how that's evolving. Um, it's not that audiences don't want to connect with the artists that they love, the creators, the brands, etc. But I think going back to the feeling of belonging, and if you can go from I to we, whether it's in your content, through your series, through your programming, through your messaging, through your campaigns, and bring your audiences, your fans, your supporters into that journey, into the world that you're building, those are going to be the ones that continue to win as we enter 2026 and beyond. And honestly, niche communities are always going to have a higher conversion rate across the board. And this also works very well when we talk about brand and influencer partnerships. So, if you started a run club, for example, that is a niche community that opens the doors for other aligned partnerships within that space. You could have your run club sponsored by a footwear brand, like a Nike, like a Hoka. Maybe they supply your run club with matching coats, outfits. That could be a brand partnership. Um, you could partner with a restaurant that does healthy catering and they partner up and supply healthy snacks, food, etc. after your run club does a 5K. So these niche communities have a higher conversion rate for so many reasons. One, opt in, right? But also two, in terms of collaborations, partnerships, brand affinity, the more niche you are, there might be a case for different partnerships that can come to life. And then also, community first looks a few different things. Posted a reel about this recently around the ones who are winning are the ones that treat social media like a two-way conversation and as a relationship building tool versus just a broadcast channel to their audiences, to their followers. So if you're just coming on social to post and goes to, I have a track coming out in a week, and then you come back a week later, okay, out now, and then some time goes by, but you're not using these platforms to build relationships. If you're not using social to be social, we got a problem. We got to fix it. Yes, it means you have to spend time not just scrolling and consuming, but use it as a tool, as a resource for your business. Those are the ones that win. User generated content and co creation. We talked about this. I've talked about this multiple times. UGC, community first. If you can really get your fans, your supporter, your audiences to participate, to co-create with you, that is gems. Gems. It's gold. The feedback, the suggestions that you get, ask your audience what they would like, what would they like to see from you next. The brands who are doing this well are using the polls, they're in IG stories, they're using it as a feedback loop to co-create with their audiences based on what they would like to see. Fashion brands, this is you could do this really well. Have them vote on colorways, merch that they would like to see, Instead of producing a whole line with no data on what's going to sell and, be sold, you can get insight. Artists, the same thing. You can have them vote on cover art, tour locations. I know Russ did this for one of his tours, or maybe a couple of them, where he had his audiences, his most engaged audiences in his community, poll on where they would want to see him perform. And he based his most of his tour route along around those locations. I think that's phenomenal. UGC content, brands can do this really well, especially if you are throwing events for customers, consumers, artists at your shows. That is such a great way to capture UGC from your fans. I've given this suggestion multiple times. If you are performing, you have a show, right? People are tagging you on your stories on social. You, your manager, your team take the onus after you get off stage or whatever the next day before those stories expire. Thank you, coming to the show, boop, 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 boop. Ask them for the footage that they shot from their, right? It's from their POV. Ask them for the footage that they shot, any pictures that they took with their friends, experience, and you can use that UGC. Obviously, right? They sent it to you, get their permission. You can use that for a variety of stuff. I'm just saying across the board. Um, all things to think about, all things that I feel like are high opportunities for just about everyone who would be watching this, whether you're an artist, a creator, like a DJ, a photographer, you can still do UGC and co-creation stuff. There's a way to do it. Obviously, brands can do this pretty well. And then access, not content, I think is huge for this of what community first really looks like in 2026 is fans, audiences, your most engaged customers, they do want access. So this is why those community first platforms are, there's going to be more of them that pop up. But whether it's like direct to fan, direct to consumer, with like even a Bandcamp, a Patreon, there's group, there's so many community, there's so many other platforms that I know are gonna pop up, and none of them are sponsoring me, but just those are just to name a few off the top of my head. But this is where you can amplify those behind the scenes, get your fans' input, allow them to participate. I think broadcast channels, for example, on IG are good for this. I haven't tested TikTok bulletin boards out to know on how that experience would work, but for broadcast channels, even in particular, you can add polls, you can add prompts. There have been some really cool brands and channels that I'm in on broadcast channels where they share the BTS. Like Tommy Hilfiger, like I don't have none of their clothes, but I'm in their channel for research purposes, and I'm like, they're doing this so well. They share behind the scenes of campaign moments, like special drops, exclusive teasers in there. And like I said, access, not just content. And then I think showing up consistently, obviously, is going to be a part of this. There are people that have launched Discords or Patreons or communities under a promise that they don't keep. I think this is going to do your brand, the relationship you have with those supporters of this service. If you're promising them, hey, if you opt in for 10, 15, $20 a month, here's what you get, and you don't deliver on that experience for them. So if you do have a community space, whether it's free, whether it's paid, tiered, these are some things to think about when you are creating those experiences on also too, what can you, your team, XYZ sustainably and consistently fulfill. So the last thing around community first engagement before we kind of go into the last few things is around the platforms that are prioritizing community. I dropped a lot of names already. We have a full masterclass on community building that dives into these deeper. We talked about Discord, but also Circle, Slack communities are huge, right? This goes back to understanding one, who your audiences are, where do they exist, where do they already live, because I would not recommend a Slack community to a music artist. Not likely. I would probably be like, hey, I would say Discord or Patreon would be the better fit based on understanding the audiences that you are trying to connect with. Now, a music organization, maybe a music executive that wants to launch a community to connect with other professionals and executives, a Slack community would probably make more sense. So it's also, you have to understand where your who your audience is and where they exist and where they're at. Patreon tiers, community with community access, private Facebook groups. Yes, this is still relevant for certain audiences. Facebook is a powerhouse, billions of users. So to say that your ideal audience isn't on Facebook probably isn't necessarily true, but Facebook groups, especially depending on which audience you're really targeting, if you're targeting like like the boomer generation, etc., like they're on Facebook all the time. It's probably going to resonate well. Or if you have a clothing line that's catered for 40 and up, Facebook is probably a platform that you would want to still be utilizing heavily. If not a Facebook group, a Facebook page, ads, etc. And then we talk about direct to fan. Even Biz is one of the ones popping up within the music creator community. We have ones like Bandcamp, Reddit, I feel is one of my favorites that does not get enough shine. And then it's always, like I said, thinking about your audience and all of this when it comes to community first. So, artists, this is around building those super fan communities, not just your fan base. For creatives, this is around creating those peer to peer networks, client communities, and then brands. The goal is to foster and nurture the relationships with your biggest, most loyal brand advocates. Um, who consistently purchase, who consistently show up, etc. And yeah, I think that's it for community first engagement. There's so much there that I could talk about more, but yeah, why community wins, what community first looks like, the platforms who are prioritizing community, and obviously things to think about for your audience. And part four is one that I have been so excited to yap about, and one that I've been paying attention to. I'm curious to see how I can experiment with this one with artists, with some of our own clients in 2026. And that is live social shopping and then live streaming. So, live streaming, I feel like it needs no intro. We have seen the rise of the streamers, the Kaisenets of the world, the iSpeeds, the vloggers, right, who are now going live. We've seen w- the phenomenon that the streaming culture has created, not just the last few years, I would say. The thing about live streaming, live social shopping is all around real time engagement that converts. So, live social, this is not new to Asia, to other countries. They have been doing live social shopping, like Powerhouse QVC on a whole other level for years. I feel like for us on the Western side of the world, we're finally starting to catch up a little bit, especially with the live social shopping. The rise of TikTok Shop has obviously allowed this to take off in a major way, especially here in the States. But yeah, obviously we're seeing TikTok Shop, Instagram live shopping. I feel like I'm seeing less of, just due to the features on the platform and the functionality of it. But there are folks that go live on Instagram and do stuff like that for like merchandise releases, product drops. And then Amazon Live, obviously, that is a different player for some brands. But we're going to continue to see live social shopping continue to be tested, to continue to take off. I think Kim Kardashian just did some live social shopping experiment. I did not check it out. I'm gonna look more into it, okay? Because I'm curious of seeing what translates well and what doesn't. But I definitely predict way more brands, even smaller businesses, are going to start incorporating live social shopping. as we're in 2026 for sure, for sure. And then obviously it works really well when you're able to just ladder up all that beautiful FOMO, urgency, that authenticity, the more heavily produced ones. I'm sure Kim Kardashian's, from what it looked like, she put some budget into that, right? Experience, add in that entertainment. But this can, I know it's going to work so freaking well, not just for products, for services, music, and experiences. So I feel like the artists and teams that go all in on live social first and even more live streaming in 2026 are going to be set up for success in such a major way. Like I can see it now and I can't wait to report back next year of like, see, I told y'all. I told y'all more of them were going to do it. I'm trying to get some of our clients to opt in. So if you're not a client but you're ready to test out some of this stuff, hit us up, hit us up. Um and yeah. So the other thing with live streaming I think is something to think about is that it's all about connection. When I think about my three C's, okay, connection is a core component of that. I feel like there's no better way to connect with your audience, your fans, your supporters than going live. I still feel like it's a high opportunity and underrated, and one that I'm like, so many artists in my community, so many creatives. I'm like, y'all, why don't y'all go live more? Such a big opportunity that you're not taking advantage of. This is for behind the scenes studio sessions, Q&As, product drops, virtual concerts. Ooh, I feel like there's something special there too that is a high opportunity for a lot of artists depending on what stage of your journey you're in. And also when we're thinking about production value, it is just like set up your camera. I know some people got fancy live streaming setups now. I understand, but you can do this simply from your iPhone, from the camera that you have. Higher authenticity, better engagement, and the goal is to nurture those relationships and those connections. So we know that if someone is on your live stream and they're on there for a while, or if you live stream once a week and you notice the same handles, socials popping up, that's a signal. Those are audiences that are curious, that want to stay connected with you, that want to be in the know of all of the beautiful things that you have going on. And it's such a great space for connection with your audiences. We always recommend on the agency side to do like a cadence that makes sense for you if you are testing out live streaming weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, something that feels like just enough, but that you know, like, okay, I can sustainably do this and it won't burn me out. So I think there's such a high opportunity. I would highly encourage more of our insiders to test out live streaming. Okay, if not live social shopping yet, it's okay. But live streaming in 2026, I feel like it can be a game changer for so many of y'all. But you just gotta press that go live button. Um, and then some quick ideas for implementation for artists. This would be really cool. You can live stream your album listening party and experience. Oftentimes, yes, we see the recap post, maybe a little recap video, but if you can set it up to live stream the experience, that that's so phenomenal. There are always going to be most of your fans and supporters who do not live where you're at, who are not local to you. But if there's a way that you can still bridge that connection for like your album listening party, merch drops, as I said, would be a good way to live stream or try live social shopping. Studio sessions where you can just put up the camera, the phone, do your thing, and just have it recording. I love artists that go live for, let's say they're doing a festival and they're going live, going to their fit in, their final sound check, etc. Or just some ways that y'all can do that. For creatives, this can be a lot of things: work in progress reveals, client spotlights. If you're a DJ, live streaming, if you can, parts of your DJ set at the event. If you have like an artist and you have a gallery showing, you can live stream that experience. Or maybe you have a live social shopping portion at your gallery. I don't know. There's so many things you can do. But those are just some ideas to kind of get the balls rolling. And then brands, we're already seeing brands start to utilize both of these for product launches. We're seeing more founder led creative, so founders going live, creating content, different community spotlights are all some ways where you can start to incorporate the live aspect within your creative ecosystem and brand. And the final part of this that we're going to quickly cover, and I have alluded to this with the evolution from short form, is the long form content dominance. Okay, baby, when people are just talking about attention spans, I take my ears off because that is not true. It's not true. We binge watch Netflix shows, we go to the theater, we watch football games that are hours long. So it's not about folks don't have attention spans, but they are being very intentional where they are putting their attention. So we're in the attention economy, like interest media, attention economy. You are competing for attention. It is not like, oh, I'm an artist and I am competing with other artists, XYZ. That is not true. Brand to brand, not true. Creative to creative. Like at the end of the day, this is about attention. You are competing with every single post that's going live, which is millions of pieces of content per day. You're competing with the sports that are on TV, the Netflix show, the Stranger Things, the, the documentary that's being talked about. This is what you're competing with. So the YouTubers of the world, it is the attention economy in general. But with this, what we're seeing has shifted even more so in 2025. It'll continue to be a dominant player in 2026 is the return to long form, including blogs, newsletters, emails, um, podcast, long form podcast, right? Now we got audio, we got video podcasts, long form content in terms of vlogs, creative series. The short form is always going to have a place in the creative ecosystem, but it's going to be more intentionally driving back to the longer form pieces of content, whether it's up full newsletter on my Substack or Beehive, or on my email. It's going to be a clip, a short form clip that draws back to the full YouTube video. And depth is going to beat those quick hits in 2026. As I mentioned, attention is shifting. So people are more intentional of where they're going to choose to invest their time and what creative that they truly find valuable. I alluded to the podcast, the YouTubes, digital series, all of those things are where the shifts already are in 2025. So if you're a creator, a brand, an artist who's been thinking about, oh, I want to launch my own newsletter, or, oh, I've come up with this idea for a cool digital series, I would say now is the time to experiment with those things. If you're someone who has an artist that has a YouTube channel and you've only been dropping maybe some visualizers or a couple of music videos, this is going to be the perfect time in 2026, y'all, to go deep, depth, okay, over those quick hits. So, podcasts, I think every artist, brand, and creative should really consider one. Audio is great. I feel like, especially 2024, 2025, the rise of video podcasts, like if you really want to be a player, having a video podcast would make so much sense. And that does not mean it has to be fully produced, multiple cameras. You need to book a studio. It does not need to be on the highest production level, especially because we got beautiful tools. You guys can buy little microphones and all that good stuff now. Get a ring light off of Amazon. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars to do this, but there is definitely something worth noting if you are thinking about podcasts in 2026 to have it optimized for both audio and video if possible. Yes, audio only podcasts work. I have seen them done very well, especially when people have put those podcasts within, like, let's say, a newsletter. So they'll have their newsletter and then they might have an audio podcast type of clip that lives within it. So as we're thinking about these own spaces, monetizing your community, different exclusives that you can offer, that could work. But I think definitely if you're able to have that video component, especially because we're still visual creatures and we want to repurpose that beautiful creative, make sure you have that video essence. Um, and there's tools like StreamYard. Not I'm not affiliated by them just yet, but same thing. This is the video portion, and I also have the audio files. So we'll likely be releasing some of these on audio only for the people who prefer that. And then YouTube. If you are sleeping on YouTube, as we are damn near in 2026, seek help. Jeez. I say seek help. What are we doing? YouTube is like the world's second largest search engine. I mean, music discovery on YouTube, it's like right up there. YouTube. I think I've been talking about YouTube for many years. I have been trying to get everyone on shorts for many years. And I feel like 2025, especially earlier this year when we were just like, WTF is happening with the clock app. A lot of creators, they were like, let me go. Let me not put all my eggs in this TikTok basket. And they started to prioritize YouTube shorts. I still feel like YouTube is still high opportunity and underrated. Just gonna say, if you are not currently actively on YouTube Shorts and you have a YouTube channel, I would probably say to start repurposing at least some of your best performing creative content on there. And the great thing without the YouTube, of course, with the YouTube platform, is that it's two different like discovery engines. You got the shorts platform, which is its own thing for discovery, and then you have that long form content engine that you can use for the deeper storytelling, that you can use for educational content, the how to's, the vlogs, etc. For artists, that's when you can do the tour recaps, the documentaries, the music videos, um, and then shorts are going to be for discovery. So use shorts, right, to drive people to that long form pieces of content that you're sharing for deeper brand loyalty, etc. Newsletters and blogs. I talk about these all the time. Okay. Um, yeah, we're gonna keep seeing the dominance of these in 2026 for sure. The biggest thing about this is that everyone needs an owned channel. Artists, teams, if y'all are building on social, but you are not capturing emails, contact information, phone numbers, I would start getting on that. If you do not have your owned website, I am not talking about a link tree or a link in bio. I am talking about an owned website that is yours. I would start thinking about that as we enter 2026 of making it a priority and not something that's optional of like, oh yeah, I'll get to it one day. I would prioritize that. We have emergent platforms that are starting to take off. A lot of chatter along, a lot of conversation, including like the Substacks of the world. There's other platforms as well. There's too many to name. We're going to see more platforms pop up. And there's a lot of SEO benefits for this too. Evergreen content libraries, as we see search engine optimization go to discoverability on these platforms. If you go on TikTok, if you go on Instagram, when you search for something, what's popping up? When you're in Claude, Perplex, the chat GPTs of the world, they're starting to show you recommendations based on SEO. So newsletters are being recommended. Blog posts are being recommended on these AI platforms. SEO is not dead. It just looks different as we're now in 2026 almost. And for especially brands, whoo, yeah, newsletters and blogs. Don't discount them. They're so crucial. Digital series, I feel like this is my favorite. That has definitely taken off. We're seeing more brands really get kind of creative here. But this is like the episodic content that builds anticipation. There's so many cool ways that y'all can do these. It's going to look different for everyone. But I always go back to how can you document journeys, creative processes, different brand stories. And the digital series are honestly perfect for platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And there's so many ways y'all can do series. Like you could do a series about anything, but people do love to see kind of like that behind the scenes, feeling like they're part of the experience and part of the journey versus just seeing the finished product. So, strategic approach to this, because y'all know I've always be dropping gems of like how you can do this. If you have one long form piece of creative, this could be, let's say I'm going to like a live stream, for example. You can then cut that down into 10, 15 short form assets. Trust me, because we do it with these ones. So it's all about how can you take that long form creative and potentially cut it up, repurpose it, reutilize it. At our agency, I don't call them content pillars anymore. We refer to them as creative anchors with our artists and clients, but it's themes that your creative is categorized around. One, it keeps you focused, it keeps you consistent, it keeps you clear and have clarity when you have anchors for different themes that you talk about within your content or you share on your socials. And it usually is going to map to your larger why, your business goals, how you want to add value into the world, etc. And then long form, I truly believe, helps build that deeper storytelling, authority, that know, like, trust. It's one thing for someone to see a 15 to 30-second short like reel or clip of you, but when they can like go and watch a full podcast, a conversation, or even if it's a 10 to 15-minute video, that builds that deeper connection. But yeah, so we talked about a lot today. So kind of just wrap things up before I give y'all 2026 homework. We talked about the 2025 landscape, what changed, the Deplug movement, moving from digital to physical, community first engagement, where community is king, queen, the new currency. We yapped a little bit about live social shopping, live streaming, that I know for a fact we're going to continue to see take off and dominate in 2026 and beyond, along with the long form content dominance. So the shifts from short form and the evolution of it over the past few years to where audiences are really investing their time into. And on that note, it's time to get into y'all 2026 action plan because we couldn't just leave y'all with nothing. So we're gonna go through 5 minutes of some things to focus on in 2026 and wrap this one up. If you have a question, comment, thought, leave a comment. This is your time. Okay. Be sure to answer any questions if I do see a couple come in live before I wrap it up and before I go into this final section of our final live stream of 2025. What? All right, I'm gonna give a second, see if any of those questions come in. And my final part of this, your 2026 action plan, what to prioritize in 2026. Gonna quickly go through how many things we got. 5 strategic priorities for y'all to focus on in the new year. And those who are gonna win in January are gonna plan now. So we right on time. You're right on time. So what I would say are gonna be your top 5 strategic priorities for 2026. Build community, not just audiences. Focus on depth over breadth, right? 2, go offline. We're talking about How are you transforming those digital experiences, your digital community, to in real life activations, experiences? You can create your own, you can sponsor, you can collaborate with another artist, or maybe a few artists in your city, or maybe there's another brand that has aligned audiences that would make like sense for a bigger partnership. Three is going to be invest in long form. Now, in our platform strategy that actually converts masterclass, I yapped about long form channels you could be on, and then I talked about short form channels you could be on. Highly recommend in 2026 to invest in at least one long form platform. You get to choose. Maybe you don't want to launch a podcast, totally fine. But YouTube, a newsletter, website, if you have a website, updating your blog on a consistent basis. We recommend choosing one platform for long form. And if I was going to make the bet on where most people should probably be within our community, I would highly recommend YouTube. YouTube, of course, and then your email list. Your email list is always going to be liquid gold. 4 is to experiment with live. This could be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly live streams. If you are at that stage where you're ready to experiment with live social shopping, that 2026 would be a good time to start doing that. And owning your channels, not optional, crucial, required. Email list, still non-negotiable. Your website, a community platform that you're operating on. There's a lot of them that we've covered. Some things I would say to stop doing as we prepare for 2026 and success and to win and to continue that momentum. Posting for the algorithm without strategy. Whew, if you are just posting to post with no clarity, no strategy, no vision, you're going to be spinning your wheels. Get clear on the strategy. Get really clear on your goals. Get super clear on the vision. And then reverse engineer the magic. And if you need help with reverse engineering the magic, you already know where to find us on the UNE side. We are so passionate and enthusiastic about creating creative brand strategies, innovative marketing campaigns, music rollouts, experiential events, creative series with our artists, with our clients. That's what we do. We help you on the strategy side. Okay, so you can do more of what you do best. Ignoring your email list, that is what we are not doing in 2026. I'm gonna need everyone in our insiders community to have their email list started and prioritized in the new year if you're not already. Don't try to be on every platform. This is truly about going from beginner good to great on a few platforms. Okay, beginner good to great on a few platforms versus trying to stretch yourself too thin. So choose 2 to 3 platforms max and creating creative that doesn't serve your goals. So if you're just focusing on trends, what you're seeing this artist, that team, that brand doing that works for them, I would say let's go back to the strategy in 2026 because it really should be tailored, intentional, and personalized for you, your vision, your goals for success, your business goals, all those things. So quick wins to start today. Okay. I would think about auditing your platforms. Think about what social platforms you are on, what platform gives you the best engagement and the best conversion. So spend some time doing that. The second is going to be to plan. If you are an artist, creator, or brand who knows like, oh, 2026, I definitely want to do an event experience for my supporters, my fans, my customers, start ideating now. Now is the time to get started and get some of those ideas, pen to paper on what that experience could look like. 3 is commit. So if you do not have a long form channel, that's been mapped out, or maybe like, oh, I have a YouTube, but I haven't really been posting on it. We're going to need you to commit to figuring out, okay, what am I going to go all in on in 2026? My YouTube channel, I'm going all in on my email list, my newsletter, or hey, I really want to get my website and my blog active. And figure out what channel you're going to commit to. And then build is really thinking about your email strategy, your community strategy, and just overall where you want to either launch and or refine in the new year. So those are just some things I would think about, audit, plan, stop doing as we're now wrapping up this year. We talked about the 5 strategic priorities for 2026. So if you missed any of the gems, okay, during today's live stream, dropped over an hour of them. This is probably one of my longest webinars in a while, but there was just too much to share and I couldn't cut it out. So you're welcome. So to wrap this one up, recapping the 2026 playbook, the Deplug is real. Meet people, meet your fans, meet your customers, meet your supporters where they are, online and offline. Community first is truly what's going to separate the winners from the noise. Live engagement and long form content are going to be big competitive advantages in 2026. And 2026 is about depth, authenticity, which I always talk about, and owned relationships. Because the real truth is, insights mean nothing without execution. Hours and hours of gems, and here's what works. And you could listen to all of this, but it does nothing if you choose to not take inspired action and do something with it. You can have all the strategy in the world, but if you're doing it alone, or if you refuse to pivot, experiment, adapt, you're going to burn out long before you break through. So, on that note, a lot of gems, a lot of insights. We are now gearing up to open very limited spots for 2026 client onboarding. So, if you're an artist, creative, or visionary brand that's serious about building personalized strategy that actually converts, launching innovative campaigns that feel authentic to you, your brand, the world that you're building, getting expert eyes from the Uni Dream Team on your entire creative brand ecosystem that you're building, and having a partner by your side who really gets it, intersects music, arts, culture, and strategy. We right here on the Uni side whenever you are ready. Link on the screen. You can find us on the web, on all socials at Unearthly Studios, www.unearthlystudios.com. We are going to go offline for a website refresh though soon. So hit us up on the web, on socials. And yeah, this has been such a great live stream, y'all. As I mentioned, 2026, we're already getting feelers, getting clients locked in for the new year to start on the winning foot. We offer full service marketing campaigns. So we handle it. You can focus on creating our VIP days. These are intensive strategy sessions for rapid transformation. Our strategy foundation bundle that we've been beta testing and we think we're going to keep offering it in 2026 includes complete social media audits, roadmaps. 2026 is right around the corner. Don't get left behind. Link in our bios on social so you can learn more about our team, the work that we do, clients and projects that we work on. But 2026 is destined to be a phenomenal, fantastic year. And on that note, we're going to wrap up our final live stream of 2025. Okay, which is, like I said, it's so crazy. Just wanted to thank everyone for being part of the Insiders community this year. We're definitely ending the year strong and setting you up for success in 2026. Excited to see you all in the new year. Now, go build something incredible. and we'll see you soon. Bye, y'all.